not trying to be the heir to Turning Point USA. I kind of like my life. I don't want to take money from donors, okay? Because they do what they did to Charlie. They're not donating money to charity because they view it as a charity. They're doing it because they want to purchase your voice. That's it. And I don't want to give mine up. But what these people are telling me is a very dark story that involves these donors, sponsors, influencers, a takeover of sorts that I think was happening right under Charlie's nose. And I want to say this formally as we keep investigating this. I believe that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by people who are close to him.
The evildoers responsible for my husband's escape have no idea what they have done.
Do you think it is possible to get people to commit acts that they wouldn't otherwise commit?
I do.
You do?
I do.
You said there are a lot of shrinks at CIA.
Oh my God, there are offices where everybody is either a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and they're operational psychiatrists and psychologists. So you take them with you on an operation to consult with them on how do you get this guy to crack. You want him to just lose his mind. What do I need to do to push this guy over the edge, right? Or what do I need to do to convince this guy to do something that he definitely doesn't want to do?
The thing that really stood out to me, and I just kept asking him to replay it over and over and over again, is that there's no blood. There's no blood from the back. There is no blood. So I think a lot of people were wondering whether or not that bullet pierced and went out to the back. But like, I thought the feds were saying they were looking for a bullet at some point, which is now very alarming to me. I don't understand that. How could they have been looking for a bullet? Because if I'm not seeing, and there isn't, I'm telling you, what happens in the front is not what happens in the back at all. If I'm not seeing any blood, what are we to take from that?
If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country.
Take a look at this video. Although it seems real, it is actually a rendered video created by an AI program designed to visually simulate a group of people frantically running away from something. While some of you may have recognized this right away, millions of others would mistakenly believe that this particular video is real. And speaking of what is real, I believe that what happened to Charlie Kirk was intentional and factual. However, I also think that much of what we were told about this situation is fictional and morally questionable. Like, how was the alleged shooter able to leap from a tall building while carrying a full backpack and still bring the weapon with him? In the video where they told us that allegedly Tyler Robinson is seen fleeing the scene of the crime, the weapon allegedly used to harm Charlie is not visible.
We are going to share a portion of a video and that we have of the suspect, as well as some new stills. Those have already been released, but we want to make sure that they get as much attention as possible so that we can get help from the public in tracking down this evil human being. So we're going to cue up the video right now, show that. I've asked Commissioner Bo Mason if he would narrate to you what is happening in this video.
Thank you, Governor. Bo Mason, Commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety. If you look up to the top left, you'll see the building where the shooter was proned out in the top left corner. We'll go ahead and play that video and I'll narrate as we walk through that. So here you see the suspect ran behind that upper building. He's going to come out on the right, moves to this far right corner. As he does, he's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground. As he did that, he left some palm impressions. There's some smudges, some places we're looking to collect DNA There's a shoe imprint where we believe the suspect is clearly identified as wearing Converse tennis shoes. Again, we'll replay that again so you can get another view of that. It's important to note his black t-shirt, his black pants, and there appears to be some white on the soles of those Converse tennis shoes. Those are all identifiable items that we're looking for. In the stills that are going to follow this, you're going to see a very distinctive t-shirt with an American flag and appears to have an eagle on it. There's also a baseball cap with a triangle on it and a pair of sunglasses. All distinctive, all things that we would ask the public to look for and try to identify if they know someone who has those items, who has been seen wearing those items. We're looking for all that information. Here you see the suspect after dropping off the building. He moved around across this grassy area, around the parking lot. We're going to pan to the right. After he crosses the street, this is where he moves over into the wooded area. This is the video evidence that we utilize to track his movements and to locate that firearm in that wooded area following the discovery of this evidence.
Look, there's no indication that he's holding a weapon. Even the guy explaining it doesn't mention that he's holding a weapon, which should make you question everything. The FBI informed us that a weapon was found in the woods nearby, wrapped in a towel. Remember?
And so we are trying to get the latest details about that weapon, but investigators had already told us one thing that we knew a few days ago, was that they found the rifle out wrapped in a towel right near the shooting scene. So they had it, but what we didn't know was exactly how old it was. And it's important to point that out because police say the suspect might have chosen that gun because it was pretty much untraceable. I want to show it to you on your screen for people watching at home. This is what that weapon looked like according to authorities. It's a Mauser model vintage rifle that investigators say is so old they didn't even have a serial number on it, so they wouldn't have been able to track it down. This is the weapon that police say Tyler Robinson used to assassinate Charlie Kirk that day. It dated back several decades, the gunman calling it Grandpa's rifle, texting rather his transgender partner after the killing saying this. I want to pull up these text messages because this whole thing had come to light too the other day. I'm worried what my old man would do if I don't bring back Grandpa's rifle. I don't know if it has a serial number on it, but it wouldn't trace to me. I'm worried about handprints. I had to leave it in a bush though, where I changed outfits. I didn't have the ability or time to take it with. And then he actually kind of stayed around the area, we're told, to see if he had the time to get it and take it to his car. Court documents say the Utah State Bureau of Investigations, who's working this case, found DNA from the murder weapon that they believe is consistent with Tyler Robinson. Police say Robinson also admitted in a text message that he shot and killed Kirk, texting back and forth to his partner, kind of giving a lot of information.
This weapon belonged to his grandfather and may have been passed down to him by his father as a family heirloom. Now, at this point, some of you might think that the father should also be questioned, and I agree. However, the FBI has not disclosed whether the father was questioned as an accomplice to the suspect. They reported that the gun is so old that it is untraceable, as it lacks a serial number. So the question remains, how was he able to carry such a large weapon while jumping off the side of a building without anyone in the public noticing it? Also, how did the camera that recorded this event fail to capture him holding the gun? Could this be an AI-generated video? It's quite possible because the weapon was too large to fit inside his backpack, and it will be unwise for him to waste time trying to dismantle it on the roof right after using it, especially while it's still hot. They mentioned that they collected prints from the ground where he landed after jumping off the building. However, they failed to mention that the towel, which they claimed he used to wrap the weapon, was also tested for fingerprints. I believe testing the towel would have been easier for fingerprints than testing the grass for footprints. The image of the weapon, first reported by the Washington Post, shows flashlights being pointed at it during the evening hours. The weapon is displayed inside a cardboard box, not wrapped in a towel. But it's possible that the weapon was relocated to this location, but I believe it's essential to note this detail. What I find alarming is that no other news outlets used this particular image after it was posted, which leads me to suspect that they may not have wanted the public to see it. If we had access to this image, we might question the video showing a figure jumping off the roof of a building with no weapon in sight. I believe this particular video was AI generated, and that's why it took them so long to reveal it to the public, all while asking for the public's help to find him. Now, I would like to highlight some aspects that was overlooked at the scene of the crime. I'm going to play this video in full first, then pause it to point out the details. By this time, his body was carried out, so don't worry. I won't play any graphic videos without warning you first.
Safety team is here. I just heard them say the active shooter, Charlie Kirk, has been shot. Charlie Kirk got hit, is what the security detail just said. My son just messaged me and says that Charlie Kirk...
Okay, let me rewind it and point out some important details you might have missed. At the beginning of the video, we see a man holding a camera and performing an action with it as if he were removing the SD card inside. Okay, now I want to pause it here because I want you to notice that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras recording at different angles, including the camera from which we're watching this at the time. Now, this camera captured footage of the incident and was operated by the same cameraman. He was initially positioned directly in front of Charlie. Then, a little while after the incident, this cameraman repositioned his camera to capture the right side of Charlie's tent. And this is what you're watching now. As he was recording, he captured another cameraman or equipment technician acting as if he was removing the SD card from the camera positioned behind where Charlie was sitting. His odd behavior led the internet to go wild, with people requesting that the police answer their questions about this individual. However, Candace Owens was the only person who had publicly admitted to speaking with the cameraman in question. She didn't mention his name, but she did give a hidden message in her recollection of their phone conversation. Here's the clip.
I'm going, when I saw this footage, who is that? I should be able to figure this out because I've got a pretty big network at Turning Point USA, and I reach out to somebody on the inside and I'm just like, who's this person? And they tell me the person's name and I go, wait a second. And I look again, I'm like, I know this person because it's been a few years, but I know this person. This person's been around Turning Point for quite some time, for years. Like I said, back when I was working at Turning Point, early days. So I'm like, I'm just gonna reach out, obviously. I know this individual. I'm gonna reach out and I'm gonna say, hey, what's up with this? Where is this footage? Why did you do this? What were you doing up there on the rocks? What's up? Like, this is not the first thing that I would do if I had just witnessed Charlie Kirk being shot. And he said, look, as you can see in the footage, I was sitting right to the left or to the left of Charlie when Charlie got shot, and I instantly knew that he was not going to be okay. I instantly knew that he was dead. And I then, like, as you can see, people that are running, anybody that was in that zone, ran to the back, and he caught his breath. He wanted to check in with and communicate to other people that were working with and around Turning Point USA. That's why he's on his phone, communicating to them what had happened. That's what he told me. Then I asked, okay, well, what about this camera thing? Why would you grab the cameras? And he says, because the first thing that I thought is that I better secure the footage and be helpful and hand that footage over to the feds. Well, obviously that's where things get into a pickle with me, because we don't trust the feds, right? I'm like, no, we don't trust the feds. So we don't got to do that. Just let me have the footage. I'm like, just send me the footage, please. Let me look at it. There's a lot of conspiracies that are floating around right now. People don't know what to believe. People are doing what I would say, credible videos. People that certainly have the credibility are ballistics experts that are saying that what we see in the front is an exit wound, not an entry wound. I'm getting inundated with messages from people that hunt, people that are in the military, saying that this had to have come from another direction. This footage could help. As if nothing else, let me help you. Let me formally debunk that by seeing this footage. Like, could you send this footage over to me? Well, he didn't want to send the footage over to me without checking with Turning Point lawyers. I said, look, technically, you own the footage. Like, you and some other people own the footage. Like, let me just see the footage, because why go through lawyers? Like, I just want to see the footage. And also I asked the question, why not just release it? I'm not going to publish it. I just want to see it. And I think you should let me see that, because people trust me. They know that I'm very serious about this. I don't care about anything right now other than figuring out who killed Charlie Kirk. So in the short run, he agrees that rather than send the footage, he will get onto a FaceTime call with me and he will show me the footage on his computer. He did that, and I watched the footage, and I'm going to tell you what I saw. And to the people specifically, the people that are in the military, people that know weapons, I'm telling you this because you might be able to add more color or more clarity here. What you would expect to see if given the weapon that they have said did this, the bullet they have said did this. I don't know anything about any of this, so I'm just telling you what I saw, okay? First and foremost, there is nothing gory about this shot at all. And so again, I am still going to work with him to get me the footage so that I think it should be shared. There's nothing gory about this footage from the back. The thing that really stood out to me, and I just kept asking him to replay it over and over and over again, is that there's no blood. There's no blood. From the back. There is no blood. So I think a lot of people were wondering whether or not that bullet pierced and went out the back. I think I vaguely even remember, and Skylar, you can maybe live look this up, but like I thought the feds were saying they were looking for a bullet at some point, which is now very alarming to me. I don't understand that. How could they have been looking for a bullet? Because if I'm not seeing, and there isn't, I'm telling you, what happens in the front is not what happens in the back at all. If I'm not seeing any blood, what are we to take from that? The only thing that could make sense, if what they're saying is true and that person took the shot from the place that they're saying that individual took the shot from, it would suggest that it was inside of Charlie, right? And they would know that. The feds would have known that. So they would have communicated that they were never looking for a bullet. Because remember, one shot. So I'm very confused. I'm very confused, not by what I saw, but what I didn't see.
The cameraman who repositioned to the right of the tent also captured another cameraman or equipment tech removing something from the camera you see here, which was positioned on Charlie's left side. Now, I don't really know who this guy is, but he sure as hell tampered with crime scene evidence as if what was recorded was too important for the public to see, even though we were all allowed to see that Charlie was hit via a video clip, right? Why show us part of the evidence and not the whole thing? I'm going to return to this point in a minute. Now, in total, there were 3 cameramen or equipment technicians or members of Charlie's nonprofit organization Turning Point USA that were recorded performing an action that seemed to indicate they were all grabbing the SD cards from inside the cameras. Obviously, there's more footage to this than what we can see online, which should make you ask some questions. Like, since there is more than one camera recording at the scene of the crime, why do we not see any footage from these cameras that could possibly confirm if the shooter was on the roof or anywhere else? Notice how that detail could have been easily confirmed to us by the camera positioned behind Charlie Kirk. Because of its placement, this camera may have captured Tyler, or anyone else for that matter, positioning themselves on the roof to face Charlie and get a good angle, capturing how the possible suspect could have gotten up, run across the roof to the edge, and then leap down to escape. Because again, we do not see a rifle being held by this individual in this surveillance footage. These 4 cameras would debunk all conspiracy theories and tell the truth. So if you actually needed the public's help in finding the shooter, as you have claimed multiple times,
as well as some new stills. Those have already been released, but we want to make sure that they get as much attention as possible so that we can get help from the public.
New images, enhanced images, I decided to release immediately to the public because we were working with the public and the media to find this killer.
We truly rely on the public's help in these types of cases, and no tip is too small or insignificant. Thank you.
Then you would allow the public to see all the essential footage that the cameras recorded. What's even more alarming is the possibility that TikTok developers may have been working overtime to remove any new video angles captured by crowd members on their cell phones. These videos uploaded to TikTok might not ever see the light of day because they were not permitted to remain on the platform long enough before they gained attention. Currently, TikTok faces significant censorship, and I wouldn't be surprised if government involvement in its acquisition contributed to the platform's increased removal of various content, especially since much of the evidence points in this direction. Now, look at this video. This is footage displaying that there was a trap door at the location of Charlie's tent. Recently, masons began laying bricks around the area where Charlie's tent was located and around this trap door. Here's a previous picture of the trap door surrounded by grass before it was removed for the masons to lay bricks. According to an article written in February 2010, this door, along with several similar doors built in this location, was created to help people escape into underground tunnels during the 1950s and 1960s. This was a response to the state's fear of a possible nuclear attack during the Cold War, a conflict between the US government and the Soviet Union. These tunnels were constructed as a safety measure to ensure that people could escape and survive in the event of a potential bombing threat. The article states, additionally, there was a vast network of underground tunnels that stretched for miles and ran beneath the hallways of the school. In some places, you could stand up, while in others, you had to crawl your way through. These tunnels were equipped with tanks that stored 1,500 gallons of water. The boiler room housed boxes of food that had been sent to the city by the government, which remained there until the 1980s, when the Civil Defense Council requested that the boxes be discarded. Years later, students began exploring the old tunnel system by entering through the fan room and hidden access points in various floors and classrooms, as such the metal shop and the student council room. Now, this suggests that the shooter may not be who we have been told. The evidence indicates that Charlie's shirt and body reacted as if he had been shot from below and behind his position. And it may not have been from the gun the feds are telling us he allegedly used. Remember what Candace Owens recalled seeing while watching this camera's footage?
The thing that really stood out to me, and I just kept asking him to replay it over and over and over again, is that there's no blood. There's no blood from the back. There is no blood. So I think a lot of people were wondering whether or not that bullet pierced and went out the back. I think I vaguely even remember, and Skylar, you can maybe live look this up, but like I thought the feds were saying they were looking for a bullet at some point, which is now very alarming to me. I don't understand that. How could they have been looking for a bullet? Because if I'm not seeing, and there isn't, I'm telling you, what happens in the front is not what happens in the back at all. If I'm not seeing any blood, what are we to take from that? The only thing that could make sense if what they're saying is true and that person took the shot from the place that they are saying that individual took the shot from, it would suggest that it was inside of Charlie, right? And they would know that. The feds would have known that. So they would have communicated that they were never looking for a bullet. Because remember, one shot. So I'm very confused. I'm very confused, not by what I saw, but what I didn't see.
In my opinion, based on all the evidence we have so far, I believe that Charlie was shot from behind, and the exit wound is what went viral on the internet. Type the number 13 in the chat if you agree with me. As we review the footage recorded by a camera positioned inside the building where Charlie's tent was located just outside, it is difficult to understand how no one noticed the figure running across the roof and jumping down from it. Another unanswered question is how he managed to get onto the roof. Was there an elevator in the building that led to the roof, or did he use a ladder? Another question would be, why would the official Twitter account of the Israel Heritage Foundation tweet a letter from the chief rabbi of Israel, tagging Netanyahu in the process, to express condolences to Charlie Kirk's family on September 16, 2025? This tweet came 6 days after Charlie's murder. However, the letter itself is dated September 2nd, 2025, which was 8 days before Charlie's death. Recently, their official verified Twitter account was mysteriously removed from the platform. What's even more alarming is that Elon Musk was seen attending Charlie's remembrance event. As the owner of Twitter, why would he allow this account to be removed from the platform without addressing it? Let's just say that it was a clerical error and they somehow mistook the number 16 with the number 2. Wouldn't you want to address this letter publicly so you could debunk the theories that suggest you are involved? See, there's no evidence to suggest that he was able to complete this task independently. So I assume that more individuals are involved in the feds are disclosing, as it is possible that they have all been bought and paid for by now. Remember when Candace Owens pointed out a few people and discovered that they all had ties to the CIA?
Yesterday, I pretty casually mentioned to you guys something, that the doorbell cam footage, which TMZ happened upon somehow, was from a street upon which a ton of employees that work for Caldera Engineering live. We showed you, I think, one or two of those employees, the husband and wife I had mentioned worked for Caldera Engineering, and it is a country that purports to manufacture valves. And I said this, I said, I know nothing about the valve industry. All I know is that every time I start investigating a government conspiracy or looking into people that are really shady, like Harley Pasternak, thus far 3 people who I've investigated who oddly, either them or their families had backgrounds working in this very niche valve and piping industry, like manufacturers of valves and pipes. I'm like, is everybody doing that? This is very strange. Well, many of you emailed me something that was quite surprising. Maybe I'm just ignorant, but you let me know that this is a very niche industry. And by niche, I mean that you asserted that it implies major government contracts, likely the CIA. Those of you who have worked at those industries telling me that there are even certain valves that are exclusively manufactured in Israel, and that they tend to be involved in this. The government and the military tend to be involved in this. And that even, by the way, on Caldera's website, they noted that they have worked in Israel. They have a map that they note every country that they have done engineering projects in, and one of them or 2 dots are in Israel. And somebody explained why the government gets involved when it comes to valves and piping. This person wrote, "Hi, Candace. I wanted to share some detailed information regarding valves, piping, and their relevance to critical infrastructure and intelligence communities. Valves as critical infrastructure assets. Modern industrial valves are used in pipelines, water treatment plants, power plants, and chemical facilities, are often automated and networked, forming part of operational technology and SCADA systems. This allows remote monitoring and control of the flow of gas, oil, water, and chemicals. cybersecurity implications. These valves are part of systems that could be targeted for cyber attacks. Compromised valves can cause pipeline ruptures, water contamination, or industrial accidents. Because of this, intelligence and regulatory agencies, the CISA, NSA, PHMSA, FERC, monitor valve networks and may maintain trusted relationships with manufacturers and engineers to ensure security and resilience. Integration with above ground systems. Modern valve networks can also integrate with cameras, sensors, alarms, and environmental monitoring. This means that an operator could simultaneously monitor flow, view live video, and respond to alarms, which enhances both security and operational oversight. And strategic value for intelligence communities, knowledge of valve locations, models, and control systems provide insight into critical infrastructure vulnerabilities. Access to or relationships with manufacturers allows agencies to monitor, assess, and secure supply chains. Remote monitoring of valves and integrated systems can support emergency response simulations and national security exercises. And then they provide us with the real-world context by writing, companies like Caldera Engineering in Provo, Utah, manufacture specialized industrial valves and control systems. While no public evidence currently links them to intelligence contracts, their products could theoretically be part of OT systems monitored by government agencies due to the critical nature of the infrastructure that they serve. In short, valves themselves are simple mechanical devices, but when networked and embedded in critical infrastructure, they become strategically important for monitoring security and intelligence purposes. That just sounds right to me. I'm telling you, every story, I'm like, what is this person? It's like their family's in valve. I don't know anybody whose family did this. I don't know. Again, this is the kind of stuff that we don't know, but we know. And that hit. And I feel like there is a bigger piece of this that involves Caldera. And like I said, I perceive a government conspiracy. You'd be a fool not to see a government conspiracy here, especially with the way that I am being attacked for simply trying to investigate this. And the attacks are growing frantic. It's almost as if they all received an email from somebody who said, I don't care what you say, make it up out of thin air, and do not stop attacking Candace Owens. That is the loudest. It's like an alarm went off. And everyone, people that I thought I was friends with, are coming after me with obscene lies that are just so easily fact-checked. So easily, you can debunk them in 4 seconds on the internet, and they're delivering it as though it's honest.
We barrel headlong into a permanent surveillance state in the United States. Something disturbing has come to light surrounding the Charlie Kirk Memorial. Days before that event, Israel reportedly signed a $4 million contract with a California firm called Show Faith by Works. Now, according to new reporting by investigative journalist Brian Ferentz, that same company was behind what they described as the largest Christian geofencing campaign in U.S. history. After the memorial, even Turning Point's Andrew Colvett openly admitted this on the Jesse Waters show, that their tech partners had tracked more than 270,000 phones in and around the stadium. Watch.
Break a little bit of news on your program, Jesse. Our partners that do sort of geotagging with devices, they told us that they tracked over 277,000 devices in the vicinity of State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Wow. 277,000. So that just gives you an idea of the scale of humanity out there. But
it also gives you the scale of something darker. How do you know that number? Did these people consent to that? Just so you understand, people who came to the event to mourn Charlie Kirk were digitally tagged under the label of outreach. I'm going to reach out to these people afterwards. And at the same time, reports suggest that Charlie had rejected an enormous financial offer connected to foreign interests, sparking internal turmoil at Turning Points USA. More of that story, I'm sure, will come out.
Financial stake in the future of the company. He heads up the faith division. So Charlie's faith and what direction it was going into would actually matter, right? It would actually matter if Charlie, and I never said he was going to, decided one day to become Catholic. It would have financial implications. I want to be clear, I never had a conversation that Charlie was in the process of converting, okay? But Rob in particular knew for an absolute fact that Charlie was done with Israel bullying him. That's what bothers me so much about this man. him allowing these headlines, Charlie's pastor speaks out, crushes Candace because of what she said, not whatever. I don't like it. He knew, and others knew, that Charlie was done with Israel bullying him, and I am now going to present you proof of what I am saying. This is an actual group chat, which happened 2 days before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. There were 9 people in total on this chat, including Charlie and Rob McCoy. I'm going to protect the names of the other 7 for now. To be clear, I might actually release a name every day this week, but I want to show you this because suffice it to say, Rob McCoy was on this text thread, and I think it helps contextualize him as a person, in my view, that he would attack me for telling the truth about the pressure that he was facing. Take a look. So Charlie writes in this group chat, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Somebody writes, oh. Charlie writes, Jewish donors play into all of the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Then somebody writes, a donor writes, please do not invite Candace. That might feel good short term, but it's not good long term, in my opinion. Like all groups, you're going to get a wide variety of opinions. That nasty free will thing that God bestowed on us makes life frustrating at times after the dust settles a bit, maybe. So again, this is 48 hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He was very clear and he was very explicit, and he did not back down, not in that Hamptons meeting, which they're all lying about, nor in this text thread. I'm not going to reveal the names of the other 7. Actually, you know what? I disagree with myself 4 seconds ago. Let's just throw in Josh Hammer for funsies. He's on this chat, okay? So what are we to make of that? Okay, now that I'm showing you this and showing to you that the conversations were real, I want you to reflect, and it took me a lot of patience to allow the lies that were being woven and the misrepresentations of people that were pretending that I was just, high on lying about Charlie and the pressure he was under, the attacks that not just me, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly faced for trying to stand up and tell the truth about what Charlie was actually going through. Why are you hearing it, though, from me and Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly? Isn't that weird? You got people that are hosting a show. Have they, in like one honorable thing, come out and said, like, you know what? F a couple of these donors who made his life a living hell over the last couple of weeks. Why haven't they done that? It's also a rabbi in that chat. Like, why hasn't anybody made that move to at least say, to vindicate what I have been saying about what he was going through? That registers to me as very suspicious. I'm going to frankly say that. It's suspicious to me. It makes me think that in the same way that Charlie was being pressured by money, that you might be now run by that same money, that those same donors might be running you to correct the ship and to focus yourselves on eulogizing Charlie as something and someone that never once flinched, never once for a single second doubted the Israeli cause.
Charlie was loyal to people that he had shared history with, right? He was asked, I think this may be what you were about to say, Blake, he was asked about Candace before in public, and he would always say, listen, we're friends. He would never say an ill word about her. And if people, tried to force him to do that about Tucker or whatever, he would always be defiant because he didn't want to be morally blackmailed.
Exactly. Charlie was loyal to people who had ever been friends to him, whether it was very old donors or just people who had worked with Turning Point.
Yes.
And as long as they were not attacking him, he would not air any dirty laundry or, frankly, any disagreements he had with people. He did disagree with Candace on the Israel issue. He disagreed with Tucker on the Israel issue. But he also recognized Tucker had positions they agreed on. Tucker was a useful voice in the conservative movement on many things. And so he invited him to events, and they were popular events. And so he would react. Sometimes people would just say, yeah, don't invite him or we're going to, cut off some large donation. And that would make him angry. He would say this, as you say, this is moral blackmail. And he's this Scottish guy. He's combative. His reaction to that is, the classic, screw me, no, screw you, that sort of thing.
He had, and it's one of my favorite parts about Charlie is just how defiant and independent he was.
Yeah,
he was never going to
be... He could not be controlled by other people.
You could not buy him, he was not bought and paid for. You could not control him
with money. It just wasn't the way he was wired. He didn't actually care about money that much.
And so what's going on here? What is going on here? You guys can look up what the text say. What is going on is Charlie, as I mentioned, he loved Israel. He cared about Israel. He cared about the Holy Land. And he was aware there was a surge of anti-Israel sentiment on the right. Charlie thought seriously about this issue and was trying to chart a path forward for people who were sympathetic to Israel. He was playing the good cop here. He was saying, you guys don't realize how bad it could potentially get. You have to change your PR. That's why he writes a letter to Bibi. You are losing the PR war. You need to change how you do your PR. You need to change your messaging to the American right. You might need to change what you expect from us, that you're not going to be able to count on just, for example, unlimited military aid from America. That's just not going to be tenable going forward. So maybe it has to be a more passive relationship. Maybe you need to give more support towards America. Some more support towards America in, for example, opposing Islamic migration into America. That's one thing he thought we could ally on. And he was trying to do all of this because he cared about the relationship and wanted to chart a way forward on it. And he would feel angry and upset when people would react to this by blowing up and suggesting he was an anti-Semite or a hater. He would get angry about that because he knew it was untrue. And then he would sometimes vent about this. He would vent about this to people who understood that, who were pro-Israel people who shared his view on that issue.
Well, exactly. And just why I, didn't share this publicly, it was because this was a private message between Charlie and some people, some Jews and non-Jews, where he was, frustrated. He was frustrated, and that would have felt like a betrayal to my friend because he never said anything like that publicly in like a show, right? He said things with Megan that were very, like, we just played them. I went on Alex Clark's show, and I felt like I did a faithful job of expressing what I believed his genuine feelings were.
I'm just here to make you think.
Yeah, DNA.